Okay. Good evening, everyone. If we could come to order, please. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Douglas Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, April 9th, 2019. This meeting is opened at 7 p.m. I will be chairing tonight as Ernie Marks is absent. Okay, first item on the agenda, public hearing, proposed zoning bylaw change. So I will read the notice. Planning Board of the Town of Douglas will hold a public hearing to discuss proposed amendments to the town's zoning bylaws of the Town of Douglas as follows, by adding the following section 1.7, section 1.7 editorial revisions. A, the town clerk is authorized to assign appropriate numbers or letters to bylaw sections, subsections, paragraphs, subparagraphs, where none are approved by town meeting, and if such numbering or lettering is approved by town meeting, to make non-substantive editorial revisions to the same to ensure consistent and appropriate sequencing and numbering, and to make non-substantive editorial revision to references regarding such numbering or lettering as contained within the bylaws to ensure accuracy and conformity. B, all such editorial revisions shall be identified with a footnote which describes the revision and the reason therefore. The public hearing will be held at Douglas Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516 on Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 at 7 p.m. Bill?
As you just read, this proposed editorial revision is originating from the town clerk's office. As you may realize, she maintains the zoning bylaws and incorporates the new zoning changes as they occur over the years. So when you look at the front cover of the book, you'll see a slew of dates that are revision dates. She makes all those revisions and incorporates them into the zoning bylaws. We have come to notice that there are a few administrative errors where we have numbering issues with sections. So some sections may have duplicate numbers. Instead of revising all of those sections individually at the town meeting, this proposed bylaw change would allow the town clerk would allow her to administratively make those edits to the zoning bylaws. Not changing the content of the zoning bylaws, but just essentially renumbering sections.
Okay.
Is this for the Maytown meeting?
This is for the Maytown meeting.
Do you need our endorsement or anything like that at this time?
I will need a motion and a vote,
If you can hold for
and the board would make a recommendation relative to the zoning bylaw change that's proposed.
Board, do you have any questions?
No.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions on the first proposed zoning bylaw change, the editorial revisions? Seeing none.
Then I'll make a motion.
Excuse me, I just
Yep.
walked in. Is this the one regarding Main Street?
No, this is
Editorial revisions. Just allowing the town clerk to revise numbers throughout the bylaw. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yep, that's okay.
Need a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion's been made. Seconded.
if I can.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. What do you want, just an approval? Or yours?
You will make a recommendation to report to town meeting and you'll vote on that recommendation.
So we'll make a motion to bring forward to town meeting the proposed bylaw change pursuant to MGL Chapter 48, Section 5, by adding the following section 1.7.
Motion been made.
Second.
Second. Les got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, welcome.
So,
Should be right here.
704.
Underneath.
Bill, can I take that one, the discussion number one?
Yep.
Okay. Is anyone here for the informal presentation, Grow Space New England, discussion item number one?
And I was told that we're moving it to 2 weeks from tonight because you were too busy to see me tonight.
But you're here.
I came here because I wanted to see you guys.
So do you want 11 minutes or?
I really am not prepared.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I want, I want to give you a nice presentation.
Okay.
Well,
Well, it's informal.
I
and-
know, I'm planning on doing it for the select board next weekend, and then you guys again in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah,
It says
no,
take you first on my sheet
You know,
here.
that's just, you were told that you're not going to see us until last, and recommended that we do 2 weeks from tonight.
Fair enough.
Okay,
So,
That's fine.
sorry.
that's okay.
Sorry. Note the record that Mike should go on to the...
Yeah, I already said hello. They've got it.
That's to Bill. Bill will know on that.
Okay. Want to do the other items in discussion? Bill? Is it? The road acceptance?
We could do meeting minutes.
Yes. Michael, meeting minutes.
How are you, Mike?
How's it going, Mike?
Well, Bill's back either one.
Which one?
I don't have a clue. I've been, eye
Is
surgery.
that
I
right?
just got out of it.
Yeah, everything come out all right?
You can see for miles and miles. It's the other
Bill
part
number
now.
1 is going to be put off for 2 weeks.
So,
Oh, okay.
split everything.
Oh, really?
So
See
let's,
far away. and I
you're
can't
just,
see.
Really?
okay.
So I need reading glasses. I'm sorry. So I don't know a thing about
Welcome
it.
back with your 2 good eyes.
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4, did you just want to update us on those?
Yes, I know Summerlyn, so number 4 may be coming in at like 7:45. So the other 2 I'll address.
Okay.
We realize that I've been pursuing all 3 of these projects on a regular basis since October to get the ball rolling with regard to road acceptances for town meeting. And it turns out that due to the timeline and the meetings that are left for the Board of Selectmen, they will not comply with the statutory requirements for laying out the way with the Board of Selectmen. So Deer Crossing and Summerlyn have withdrawn their request for road acceptance for this annual town meeting. I'm still waiting to hear from Stonegate Estates, which is Cobblestone and Meeting House. So that's it. It's just a structural failure. It will not happen.
Okay.
Will that happen maybe for
Fall?
later on?
Has to be at an annual town meeting, so we have to wait a year.
Well, what's the spring one?
What's that?
What's the fall one that we have in the fall? Is that it?
No, that's,
No, it has to be at an annual.
Yep. Okay. Special. Okay.
And Whitin's Reservoir Estates.
I don't know if they're here yet. They're not, but we have William Estates, if we want to take that out of
Okay,
order.
let's take that.
Hey folks, I'm Bruce Taylor, and William Estates is requesting that we have a release of the covenant. We have a tripartite agreement with Webster First Federal Credit Union, providing the surety. The dollar amount of that surety is $118,000. It was established by Mr. Cundiff. And we have a mortgage to be recorded. It is not recorded today. It will be recorded, we expect, within a week. And I have the tripartite agreement signed by the bank, signed by me, and ready for your signature with a couple of blanks for the mortgage itself, the recording data, etc. And I would ask that you approve this and leave it with Mr. Cundiff until those last items are completed and they can then be recorded.
So I'll type in the blanks that are on the front page, basically the booking page, and there's a few dollar amounts that need to be written out the long way. You know, stuff like that, very editorial type things. Town council's reviewed the form. He's okay with it, pending the blanks being filled in.
Okay.
You
then
need
I
a
have-
formal motion on that?
I do.
Did you have anything further?
I also have prepared the release of the covenant and conditions for signature by the board.
Likewise, I'll hold on to both of
Okay.
them jointly until town council is satisfied.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the agreement and the covenant release,
I'll make a motion.
be held till, okay.
however you want to make it.
I'll second that.
Well, I can't make it.
I'll make the motion to approve the Williams Estate
I'll second.
covenant.
Okay, Les made the motion.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Do you
you.
want to sign the one that's in the packet here, or
do
the
it
one that
now.
you have?
Let's just be done with it.
Well,
We'll
he's
do
not
this one.
gonna
He's
do
got
it.
signatures already on it,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, we go. A few minutes here.
Want to sign now or later?
We can sign it after or now.
We have a few minutes, so we'll just bang it out.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
I have the 745 A&R here, too, if you want to take that out of order.
Sure.
Is it straightforward?
Yes. Well, I'll have some comments, but the comments have been addressed, but just
Okay.
more informational.
Okay. Is anyone here for the 7:45 PM A&R plan, Mary H. Brundage? Come on down. Maple Street, Douglas and Buffum Road, Uxbridge.
You can just distribute them, lay them out, so they'll have something to look at. So in your packet, you'll see I have comments on this. My comments have been addressed, but I also attached a letter from town council, just for information. It does straddle the town of Uxbridge town line. It's on Maple Street. So the questions I had for Jay pertain to frontage and area for buildable lots. So I'll just read that quickly. He'd suggest that the A&R in Douglas would be dependent on having adequate frontage as stated in the Douglas zoning bylaws, which appears to be achieved here based on your facts below. The A&R is only based on frontage, so lot area is not important to the A&R. If a building permit is sought for a house that is predominantly in Douglas, as it appears to be the case here, the Douglas lot area requirement should be applied by the Douglas Building Commissioner. I did point out one thing that struck me, and again, it's not pertinent to the A&R or the endorsement of the A&R, but there is a shed on the property that will now fall within the building setback, and I did point that out.
Yeah.
So what was the conclusion with the lot frontage?
The frontage is
One more time, so
as
the-
required in Douglas.
Okay,
And all the lots that are proposed meet the
The
frontage.
90,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And your notes were just
Editorial,
Yeah.
and they addressed all the
right.
comments.
Good. Well, it's pretty straightforward if it's straightforward, you know? You got a lot of frontage there, so.
Shed that moves.
Okay. What's up?
Just that that's a shed on the line. I see your concerns. I mean,
It's more for their knowledge. I don't want them doing something they're not aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, if no one's aggrieved by it and, you know, later, I don't know. It's just, we're not zoning board, yeah.
no, I agree.
so I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to endorse the A&R plan for Marty H. Brundage on Maple Street, Douglas and Buffum Road, Uxbridge.
Now, make sure you sign the Douglas signature spots, not the
Yeah.
Uxbridge.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, okay. We're on the left, guys.
Ken's gonna second that.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Want to stamp them?
So we'll sign the Mylar, stamp the rest later, so that we can.
Are they here? Why don't we,
They're here. Yeah.
they're here. No, I mean, what, do you want to just sign them now, get them over with? Guys?
They don't get that.
What's the Mylar?
Mylar.
We keep the
Yeah, we'll just
paper.
sign the Mylar.
Everyone signed Douglas.
No, but can we use the stamp on that? Oh, you mean for that?
Yeah, okay.
Of course. Mike, can you get some?
I'll go.
You got the budget. We're gonna do the paper copies now, or? Well, send it stuff.
Well, I mean, if we do it at the same time, can we just do the paper one?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys.
Just make sure you do.
Stamp, stamp.
Hit the Douglas side, though.
Stamp. and the
Left
Douglas
side, guys.
So when's Uxbridge?
Not with Red either.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that marker thing.
I shared what town council said for them. So they have,
Is that ready to take?
I'm just trying to.
Should bring that this way.
Just the spacing on your A&R.
I told you.
Little
Didn't I
tight.
tell you?
Right? You never heard that before, right?
I was trying to tell him that the same size as that. He said, no, Douglas is always bigger than
I
Uxbridge.
told them.
Oh, you need room because of how we do it.
Another A&R. Oh, don't
Yeah.
That's it.
Nope. Okay, let's go that way. After that one? Here, 4. Those 2. And then, we got it.
This one.
Yeah, all 3.
Come back at
2,
you.
3, 4.
Well, this way.
As long as there's 5.
It could be 6 or 7. 6 or 7 by the time we finish.
No,
What do you need?
Ken, have him stop signing. He's in Uxbridge side.
Ken, wrong side.
Not
Wrong
the,
side.
Left side. Over here. Did you already sign? Only sign one
it's
first.
okay, it's okay.
If it's paper, it's not a big deal.
It's not the
If
Mylar.
it's Mylar,
It's not the Mylar. You did the Mylar?
But did you sign here somewhere?
No, the Mylar is,
The Mylar is correct.
Correct.
the Mylar is correct.
Yeah.
Here's another paper copy if you want.
no, we just need 4.
They're redundant.
Sorry,
it
if
to your
we can
client.
get rolling board,
Okay, here it
that'd be
is.
great.
Great.
So I didn't sign this one here at all.
Okay, sign, left side. Left side, no, left side.
No
Top
room.
line,
There's no room.
top line.
Just anywhere,
Yeah,
right in
they
there.
are.
The second one, right between, below Tracy there.
It's just for internal use. That's fine. Put next.
Yep. All right.
All right, good?
All right, ready to roll board?
Send them down. Everything's there. Mylar's.
Next on the
Prints. Just send it on
agenda,
down if you signed it.
next on the agenda.
I don't think I have.
15?
7:15.
7:15, public hearing, proposed amendments to the zoning bylaws
Can you
and
use
zoning map.
I'll try
VR,
this, yeah, on the paper you can.
WB.
Yeah.
You guys. I'm gonna read the notice. The planning board of the town of Douglas will hold a public hearing to discuss.
Excuse me, back there, please. Excuse me. It's like this sound in the background, I can't, my hearing's affected. Thank you so much. Sorry.
The planning board of the town of Douglas will hold a public hearing to discuss amending the existing zoning map and zoning bylaws of the town of Douglas as follows. 1, by amending the zoning map as codified through section 2.3 of the zoning bylaws by moving the following assessors maps / parcels: 163/16, 163/29, 163/30, 163/35, and 170/26 from the village residential VR zoning district to village business zoning district. 2, by amending subsection C of the. Guys, I'm sorry, I can't read and listen to you guys. By amending subsection C of the zoning, of the use schedule as found at section 3.1.3 of the zoning bylaws, appendix A, by adding a new use, function hall, which shall be permitted by a special permit from the planning board in the VB district and prohibited in all other districts. By adding a new definition in section 10 of the zoning bylaws as follows: function hall, a venue for hosting weddings, conferences, banquets, and other similar events with or without accessory dining facilities, or take any other action relative thereto. The area to be rezoned is shown on a map on file at Douglas Municipal Center, Community Development Department, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass., and is available for inspection during regular business hours or by going to https://tinyurl.com/ATM-figure2. The public hearing will be held at the Douglas Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516 on Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 at 7:15 p.m. Okay, Bill.
Okay, I do have copies of what was just read, and if anybody wants them, they're up here. I'll put them over here. Anyone want to grab a copy? Basically, this is the same property that was approved as a definitive subdivision plan for the lane at Hunts Pond. I know they were trying to sell the property, and one of the potential buyers approached the Board of Selectmen with a proposal for a wedding/venue function hall facility, and so this proposed zoning change originated with the Board of Selectmen. It should not have an impact on the approved subdivision because the same lot sizes and uses are allowed in both districts, but this would further allow the facility to be used for, as I mentioned, weddings and banquet facilities. So, as well as all other village business district allowable uses. So that's the proposed zoning change. It is not spot zoning. It is connected geographically with village business, which is across the street. So that does not appear to be an issue either.
Les, did you recuse yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna recuse myself.
Did you state that out loud?
Yeah, I'll have to recuse myself from this one.
Okay.
Do
You can sit in
my
the
way in
audience
on
if you
it.
want.
Bill, may I ask,
You can sit in the audience if you want.
may I ask a question? Under Mass General Laws, adjacency to another zone, through extension of that zone to change the zoning to an existing, you just said this, is completely permissible and is not, you said it, I'm being redundant, is not considered spot zoning because of a particular request.
Correct.
I mean, I like the use, I'm just not,
Correct. I did
sure
ask
we're-
that specifically to town council, and he responded that it
Good.
is not.
So he's confident
Actually,
in
town
that.
council drafted this, and he had the
Good,
maps. And
all right. I wanted to ask that because
Yeah.
that would get asked of us and
Yes.
just make sure. Thank
Yep.
you so much. Yeah. I got no
Board,
issue.
do you have any other questions?
They want to change all of it to VB? The whole?
Yes.
Doesn't hurt the use of what we've already approved, right? I mean,
That's
it's already-
correct.
Right.
But being VB, they could put businesses and stuff
That is correct.
all the way up into the backside.
I think that's the intent, yes.
That is the intent?
Yep.
But why do we need to change the rest of that if it isn't just, because then it would probably be really spot zoning as well. I don't
I
know.
think for the particular proposal that was before the selectmen, they were planning on purchasing the whole property, and they were using, the remainder of the land for photos and stuff like that.
But if that's not the case, why should we put the other residences?
That's why we're having a hearing. is
Yeah,
for
I
a
would not be in
recommendation.
favor of changing beyond. Mike, is that what you're sort of saying?
Well, how would you say it without, I'd like to know what the full intent is. I mean, once it's VB, it's VB.
VR.
Yes.
You're talking
You
about
cannot
VR,
go back
not VB.
unless you
No, it's
allow
only VB.
for
Another-
the function hall in VR by special permit.
Right.
Which is another avenue
Right.
that you
So
can
I'm not
take.
understanding.
So did the selectmen sponsor this article?
I did ask Matt for a memo. It did originate with the Board of Selectmen, but I did not get the memo. I had to meet the town meeting timeline, so I did move forward with it. So technically, although the request originated with the selectmen, it would be sponsored by the planning board because we did not.
Were there any other committees involved in looking into this?
I think Economic Development Committee,
Economic.
who's here, also supports the zoning change.
Okay.
But isn't
That's
it,
what I mean, so that economic development has really looked at this and they know what's going on with it. And, okay.
but
No,
isn't
which is
it,
good to know.
I'm sorry, Michael.
No, that's good.
Isn't it egregious to all the residences that surround all of this to put village business all the way deep, like Mike said, into this, in case that other property, the other development doesn't happen, then you've got a mix of business in between all these residences potentially.
Yeah, but,
Well-
I mean, that's everywhere in North America. I mean, you can drive down any street and there's a house in there.
Yeah, but it's not Main Street.
Yes?
Yeah,
You can go anywhere on Main Street.
Yeah, but if I was a neighbor there, I'd be potentially not happy with that.
Well,
you know.
that's why it's a public hearing.
So to that end, even though it's not required, we did notify the property owners and direct abutters to the proposed changes for this one and the next one. So certainly, the map was available online. I didn't hear from anybody regarding comments. They may be here tonight, I don't know. So,
But what I'm seeing, is this the map we're looking at?
yes.
If I'm a layperson, me walking in, it says, oh, village residential, not
We also
village
got
business.
public hearing notice with it.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not seeing, if they see it graphically, it doesn't represent that as being, if they saw this being VB, they might go, B, what does that mean? Business versus, I'm just,
No, it's right there in the legend.
yeah, but that isn't green, is it? It's not green. Village business is green, and this is not green. This
That's
should all-
rezoning VR to VB.
No, I
That's the area.
What am
we're
I
talking.
not getting? I mean, I guess I'm
know.
not getting.
So this article is pretty much just benefiting one person.
Right.
So instead of citizens petition, it went to selectmen passed it to planning board to sponsor it.
We did not get a notice from the selectmen, so therefore, this would have to be sponsored by the planning board at this point, yes.
under
So-
us.
But I guess what I'm asking graphically,
Typically, it's citizens petition.
Yeah.
right, graphically, if this is represented going to be VB, right, that's the idea, that this would be VB, and VB is green, why is this not all green?
It's not all green to distinguish the area that's being rezoned, Aaron. Okay, so currently it's zoned village residential.
I get that.
Well, I'm not following what the area of interest is shown as a red hatch.
So you're saying that this
No, let me
hatch,
finish what I'm saying.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The map shows 3 colors.
Right,
One color is green, that's the currently zoned village business.
Right.
One color is yellow, that's the currently zoned village residential. The hatched area that's in red is the area that's changing
I get
from
that.
village residential to village business, which that's what this map depicts, and that's what the legend indicates.
I get that, and there really should be 2 of these. One would show what is currently proposed and what it would look like in green, so that, because right now it says VR, even though it's red hatch, it still says VR. So it could be discerned as being,
That's
you
our
know-
current zoning map.
no,
I'm disagreeing with you.
yeah, and
Okay.
I disagree
I don't know what
as
else
well.
to
I mean,
say.
graphically, my job is to represent graphically to people what
As
things
is
should
mine.
be. And-
As is mine.
Right, and this, to me, can be a little,
No,
Well, I
not
think
on
if-
purpose deceiving. I'm just saying it's not
I don't
quite
think it's deceiving in
representative.
any way, shape, or form. I
If
think
this
it's
said
quite clear. in fact.
VR proposed, and next to it in parentheses, VB,
Okay.
they'd see the VB, and then they would get
I
that.
think you've got to use the legend on the map.
right.
And
Well, okay.
hopefully the abutters that received the notice could look to the legend and look to the overlay on the hatched area.
Yeah, and some folks are, not as,
I'm more
Yeah.
like asking about this process, how it ended up here.
Here.
Yes.
And why not do citizens petition, or why not add an additional use of the function hall as a special permit use, instead of changing a zone which
Yeah,
we
special
have an
permit, yeah.
approved subdivision that we spent a lot of time on approving that would fit the area.
yeah, because the use could be changed under special permit through zoning, right? For the use of that property.
Could be, yes.
Right, and that's the process. Wouldn't that be the normal process?
Well,
Go
that-
before zoning, if they
that-
support it, then it would, under special permit, they would be granted that.
That's an allowable process, as is this.
Yeah, so if that process is already in place, I wouldn't be in favor of this
Well,
process.
it's not in
It's not in
place.
place.
Well, it could be
That
in
would have
place
to-
because they went down the other path.
No, it'd have to still be a zoning change.
Right, and I think they should go before zoning on this.
Well, it would
Yeah,
be, it
we're the
would
one to
be
do it.
an additional use, so maybe you modify this on the floor as amending just omitting the map change. Yeah, we're not taking comments from the audience yet, sorry.
I mean, I'd rather see some VB over another 40 houses being built any day of the week. I mean,
But is that the
there
plan?
is one area where there are abutters, and I'm totally aware of that. But also, anything that went on in there would go in front of the planning board, which could also protect all those abutters. I mean, we don't have enough VB, I don't think, in this community, and this would be a big asset to it, the way it's laid out. It's all backwoods, it's all backcountry. Right now, there's nothing there. And I'd rather have VB over, what did we approve, 40 houses? 40?
20,
No,
23?
no,
23?
Yeah,
Yes.
23.
Oh.
23 or so? But still. So, I don't know, that's the way I feel.
Mike?
Especially if it came through the
Mike,
committees.
Ken? Any comments?
No. I'm okay with it.
Audience have any comments? Carol? Name and address, please.
Carol Godlinski, Island Road, on the Economic Development Commission. Before anyone even came and suggested function hall up there, I did recommend to the town manager, Mr. Wojcik, that this be rezoned to a VB. And by doing a VB, you're still leaving the underlying thing. If they want to go with a VR, they can still do that. But the VB gives another little extra thing that we can do. We are so desperate for places to put anything in this town. We don't have anything, trying to come in, but even if they did, we have no place to go with it. This just gives another opening of something that might be possible there. And so that doesn't mean it's gonna happen. And, obviously I can see, these little perennial streams are a little bit of a problem here. But, like I said, this is not the person, and I have no idea who the person is who even came about the function hall. But I had discussed this with the town manager from an economic development point of view, that might be the time to rezone this.
Did you identify other areas in town that should be rezoned to VB?
We are
coincidental.
identifying other,
coincidental.
I did look at other areas, but I don't see any of the areas that are that open.
Yeah.
Everything else is,
Established.
yeah, I mean,
And the function hall would be like, what is it, the White Cliffs out there on Route 20? Pretty much the same thing. It was an old mansion
Yeah.
like this one, and they turned it into a beautiful dining function hall facility and
the
stuff.
other thing too is being on the historical, involved with the Jake store and the history of the town too. It'd be a shame to lose the mansion. And that's
Yeah,
a
we're not-
possibility too, if they couldn't do something else with it.
Right.
Well, I think,
These old places,
Right.
they cost more money than what it is to
Yeah,
rehab them, to
agree.
live
Yeah.
in. So a lot of them go, I mean, you look at the mansions in Newport, they knock them down, so, before that came. So I think that, like I said, from the economic development point of view, we are definitely in favor of this.
One isn't
Will
the
something
other.
happen there? Who knows? But at least there's a chance that we might get a little more tax revenue in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Les Stevens, 31 Brookside Drive. What I was talking to Carol about was taking it actually from, I'm okay with what's being proposed here, but actually mentioned to Carol was taking it from Depot Street down to the lane, making that all green as well. Because it's one of the things that, to be able to stagger and take the open up, again, you already have residential, if you're allowed to do a commercial business and stuff like that, you're allowed to do that on the special permit, but it would add additional VB, spots and stuff like that, where it's just not exclusive to a backland. Because, there's no potential for any VB to go in on the waterfalls, there's no potential for it to go in on the lane itself, the road there. Or in Hunts Pond. No business is gonna spring up out of the middle of the pond. So if you took it from Depot Street all the way to the lane, you then pick up more UV area. Carol's standpoint, she was okay with it from the top. So, that's it.
Yes, in the back. Name and address, please.
Yeah, Jeremy Flansburgh, 63 Monroe Street. I'm not objective to the proposal, but why go rezoning? Why don't we, I mean, does the zoning bylaw allow a VB to go from a VI to go to a VB by a special permit? So it would just be specifically because, as you
Well, it wouldn't be
noted,
zoned, it would be a special permit for that use, right? Is
just
that
for
correct?
that use
Yeah.
on that particular piece of property, rather than rezoning the whole thing. I'm just asking. Thank you.
I don't think that that's allowed. If the zoning's not there, the zoning's not there.
So you are adding a line item for function hall in the use schedule, so you could have approached it where you did VB and then VR as function hall by special permit.
Then you're opening it up to every place in town.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
By
what you
special
want to do?
permit.
Good for the goose.
In every VR in town? Is that what you want to do?
No, that's not what, that's being
It's a
suggested.
special thing. I mean, I really think that, I mean, this may be something other than a functioning hall. What if it becomes like a senior citizens living home or something, assisted living or something like that?
Under Dover Amendment?
That's my concern, Neil.
Oh,
So I think that really, I think the BB
okay.
is really the way
I
to
think
go.
it's kind of pinpointing just this area, though. I don't know why that it was pinpointed like it was.
It's an open piece of area. It's not pinpointed just for that function hall.
So did Economic Development give a favorable recommendation for this article?
I don't know, yeah, I think we did. Did we vote on it? I'd have to look at when Mary
Okay.
writes up the, you know, I'm sure that you go to meetings too, and you don't remember what you voted on either. So I couldn't say completely whether we did or we didn't.
Okay.
You know, you talk about it, did you vote legally? I couldn't say for sure.
Okay. All right.
I think, I would say consensus is that, yes, we are in favor.
Yeah.
But did we actually do a vote?
Yeah.
I would say
Okay,
Consensus, yeah.
okay. All right, did you have a follow-up question, Jeremy?
No. And if the board is satisfactory with that, then, and if if it goes to town meeting, then
Then
have a
town, right.
satisfactory vote to,
Okay,
I mean,
rezone it.
I think it needs to move to town meeting as
Well,
proposed.
yeah, it only is what is proposed,
As pro-
unless there's a motion on the floor to amend it. But
Right.
this is how it's gonna be presented,
Right,
and it does need 2/3.
yeah, so, I mean, the town needs to start somewhere. I mean, it just
Okay.
keeps getting pushed down the hill, pushed down the hill, pushed down the hill, and I agree with economic development where it's a good place to start.
Okay, all right. I will entertain a motion for a recommendation.
We're gonna close, anybody else?
I'm going to oppose it as presented.
No, close, he said.
Close, yeah. Yeah.
Make a no.
I'm in favor of the one thing, but
One more quick question.
what is the recommendation?
We're not sure yet, we're making a motion.
Okay.
It'll be a surprise.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded. Mike, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay.
And I'll make we need to make a motion to present at town meeting, the proposed.
To recommend the proposal
Either
to town,
unfavorable or
favorable.
favorable.
So we'll make a motion to favorably go to town meeting, the zoning bylaw change for the map presented in front of us to go from VR to VB.
There's been a motion.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Still carries, I think.
Okay, 7:30 PM, public hearing, proposed amendments to zoning bylaws and zoning map RA to industrial. I got my piece of paper. The planning board of the town of Douglas will hold a public hearing to discuss amending the existing zoning map of the town of Douglas as follows. By removing the following area from the RA district and establishing the same as an industrial I district. 1, by amending the zoning map as codified through section 2.3 of the zoning bylaws by moving the following assessors maps parcels 165/27, 166/13, 166/14, 166/15, and 168/7 from the rural agricultural RA zoning district to the industrial zoning district in their entirety. 2, by amending the zoning map as codified through section 2.3 of the zoning bylaws by moving the eastern portion of Assessor's Map 165 parcel 30 from the rural agricultural zoning district to the industrial zoning district, using the westerly easement line of the Tennessee gas pipeline as the boundary line location. The area to be rezoned is shown on a map on file at the Community Development Department and is available for inspection during regular business hours or by visiting https://www.tinyurl.com/atm-figure1. Public hearing will be held at the Douglas Municipal Center, Resource Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516, on Tuesday, April 9th, 2019, at 7:30 PM. Okay. Bill?
I'm going to probably kick it over to Bob and Eric from the Economic Development Commission. This request is originating from them.
We, Bob and Eric with the EDC, we originally proposed this entire rezone request, but we'd like to make one small minor change and address that tonight.
So just for clarity, Figure 1 shows what was advertised. Okay. The proposed change is shown on Figure 1A, and a zoom in is shown on Figure 1B of the change. But go ahead, Bob.
If you address 1B, it will be a lot clearer.
Sorry, audience, can we have some order back there, Jeremy, please? I can't really hear because it's echoey. Thank you.
16615 is basically what we call Hall Street. And Hall Street is defined as the east end ends at West Street. The west end, or the left side, is aligned with property parcel 166-14. The road in between is basically what we refer to as Hall Street. The EDC is recommending to remove that from our original request after we rethought this, to keep it RA. We were doing everything around it from RA to industrial.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So we want to keep that RA.
Yep.
All right? Is that clear?
Yep. Yeah, sure do.
Thank you.
If the entire Hall Street is rezoned industrial as currently proposed, we're afraid the abutters on Hall Street might object to it, and we're just trying to be preemptive and proactive on eliminating any abutter problems for our proposed industrial park. Because we have a huge warehouse proposed to be coming in there.
Correct. Yep. Okay.
That'll have to be amended on the floor.
And if it stays...
That will be a floor amendment, so we have the proposal shown on Figure 1. There would be a floor amendment to decrease the scope of the article by removing that section of Hall Road from the proposed warrant article. So there'd be an amendment to the motion that would get voted on, and then the motion as amended, assuming it passes.
Yep, makes sense. Thank you for explaining it that way, too.
Yep.
It does make a little difference.
Yes.
So.
And the thing is, we don't want any resistance to the industrial park per se, and our intent is not to use that road as an employee entrance for a warehouse. There might be 500 jobs up there.
Yep.
We don't want truck traffic on that road. So if we keep it residential, that addresses all their concerns.
Yeah, it can be used as an emergency access point.
Right,
or like that,
emergency access, period.
but not for commercial use,
Right.
which is what you're not doing. Okay, fair enough. That's good. Cool.
Ward, any questions? Mike, Ken?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 1A and 1B.
Yes.
And you keep referring to figure 1.
Yes, you should have a figure 1 in your packet. If you don't, here you go, Mike. Thank you.
That was
So basically,
originally proposed.
I'm sorry, this is what is currently proposed on the town meeting warrant. And the only difference between that figure and the new figure, which is shown in a large scale on figure A and a zoomed-in scale on figure B, just to show the clarity, is Hall Road falls off of that rezoning proposal. Okay.
Awesome.
86.
I'm good. Is anyone here for this public hearing in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, Jeremy, I'm gonna hold off for 1 second for you. Yes, sir, in the back, yep.
I'd like to also propose to relieve lot 166-14 off of the proposal for the time being, so that I can further investigate, because I own that, and lot 166-16.
So, I believe that's Mr. Hall. Okay. Joseph?
So 1/6 is off already, right?
It's already off. Yeah,
1/6 is not
1/6/14.
included in the proposal, so it's remaining residential as originally zoned.
Right, and 1/6/15 also.
A portion,
Investigation done before the May meeting.
14, yeah, 15.
Those are removed already.
13 in that.
No, he said 14.
14. Oh,
Dash 14.
14,
6-14.
he owns the 2 lots on either side of Hall Road.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
So one is proposed as being rezoned, and was not the scope of what the EDC had talked about, and I'm not sure if the EDC individual, not as a board, has an opinion on that.
We have no problem with leaving 166-14 open right now.
Sure.
Joe
Yeah, we can amend it.
Hall is investigating, doing research on it, so, but he'll have that research done prior to the May meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Fair enough.
Then we can make a determination which way we go on 166-14.
Okay, so you're not asking for it to be removed right now? You're,
Just leave it open.
oh, leave it open, okay, and then you'll know before meeting?
Right, and we have no problem which way it goes.
Okay, okay.
With just 15's removed.
Proposed to be removed.
Right,
Yeah.
it's gonna be removed.
He wants to leave it open.
And also 14 you want.
Is open.
Is it leave open?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure which
Either
way.
way.
Yeah,
15's a definite.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, makes sense.
14's a possibility.
okay, got you, yeah.
Okay. And there was another question over here. Name and address, please.
Another question?
Name and address, please.
Why are they rezoning to, Barry Cobra?
Yep.
I live on West Street,
Okay.
Douglas. Why are they rezoning to industrial?
Why industrial? It abuts industrial right now. It abuts the industrial
Yeah.
line right now.
But it was always,
So this is all in gray here is all industrial. There's a map, there's a plan I think Bill put up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all industrial currently, and we're looking to extend it up to the Uxbridge line. So
Okay, why don't you pass that?
Why?
To
EDC,
EDC.
could we,
The Economic Development Committee has been working on making that 205 acres an industrial park.
okay.
And it needs to be rezoned to get warehouses in there.
All right, would that interfere coming up towards West Street? The ones that
No,
want to
that's-
do more to 16.
Everything off of 16. That's
Everything off of
why we're
16.
proposing to keep 166-15 residential, so we cannot use it. Because we know you would bring it up as an abutters concern.
Yeah, because I didn't know that road you were talking about, if that goes industrial, then that road could go straight right down to through to 16.
Yes, it could.
But that's why it's not gonna happen,
Yeah.
because it's gonna stay, we're not gonna change the zoning on that, gonna leave it alone.
166/15
So
to
it can't be
residential.
used.
Not
The original thought process was to change everything, but we're taking that piece out to prevent traffic from going to West Street.
Going to-
West Street is not designed for truck traffic
I don't
or
even have that.
500 vehicles.
I have that.
So there'd still be woods where I live, that we wouldn't see the industrial park, right?
It'd still be zoned residential, and you can't cross residential.
It's weird,
It doesn't have
Right,
that.
but we could still have houses built in the backyard.
They still have houses built behind it.
whatever.
Which parcel are you?
Where are you?
Hold on. 166-18.
You belong in here somewhere?
Are you on 1/8? Joe Hall is 1/6 behind you.
Yep. But I don't think that property has been deeded for a lot yet. Because I
That's
don't
what
think-
he's,
I don't think it's
that's
2
what he is
acres.
researching.
I don't think it's 2 acres.
May I answer something?
Name and address.
Carol Godowinski, 55 Island Road. If Mr. Philbrook is discussing this parcel, it's going to be rezoned, and thinking that he might have houses behind him, well, that could happen now, because if he's where I think he is, it is rural agricultural.
Right.
If we change it, then he would not,
Correct.
okay?
And it'll be industrial.
Mr. Philbrook?
It's not even included in the
It could
proposal,
happen
though.
now, but if we change it, it will not happen, because you can't build residence there, okay?
Yeah, Bill?
With the proposed amendment to the zoning article, meaning not rezoning 166-14 and that portion of 166-15, you could have probably, potentially, two houses back there.
Okay, anyone else in the audience? Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm requesting, first off, I'm vehemently opposed by this whole thing.
Name and address, please.
165-30,
Name and address, please, for the
63
speaker.
Monroe Street.
Okay.
I believe I said it before. If you realize, going towards Monroe Street, it appears that they are showing some sort of road going out to Monroe Street.
No.
That's not a road.
That's rural, that's RA, nothing can be used that way.
Yeah. Did you see the map?
I have. This is not what Bill emailed me this afternoon, sir.
May I add, I think he put it in the pipeline.
Yeah, is it red dashed?
Yep, that's right there. I own that little,
This isn't a road. This is
I
Tennessee
understand.
gas pipeline.
It might be,
And that's gas
Easement.
pipeline going through.
then the map is incorrect because there is no entry onto Monroe Street.
I think that's just from the assessors that you guys pulled. Bill,
This is existing property lines. It's our zoning map, essentially. And the only change that's made here, Jeremy, is the red hatching showing the parcels that we're proposing for rezoning.
just this area.
It's kind of ironic, though, that it just extends right past that corner, that, see the corner right here, this, what they're showing, that is not a parcel of land. I don't know where those.
This is,
That's all 160.
that's
I own all this property right
That
there.
is correct.
And I don't know why
This piece,
there's two
we're cutting it
lines.
in half.
You actually have it on that phone.
I know I do.
This is 165-30 as well. We're only rezoning half of it.
Different drawing.
Keeping the other half, this other half.
This is
So he's
staying
cutting it.
residential,
This is,
He's cutting it in half.
so you
50%.
cannot have a road. The road is going through Brandon, by the way.
All right. I guess my other comment
I don't
is,
have that drawing.
you're taking one of the most pristine farms on Monroe Street. That farm's been there since, I would say, at least the early 1800s, and you're gonna throw probably a steel building right behind it. And now remember, probably close to, I'm gonna have, remember, my property is village residential. So now, all these house lots that my father has worked for, and of course, he, as you guys probably know, he's deceased now, but all that he's paid in his real estate taxes all these years, all these half-acre, 100-foot frontage lots are gonna be gone, because nobody wants to buy a house with a steel building in their backyard.
There's a lot of wetlands separating the warehouse from your
I
property.
understand.
How many feet do you think? Like that way, 300 feet or something.
There's a huge wetland right there.
the back corner. What more is deceiving is that you only show 200 feet from Monroe Street to the edge of my brother's trout pond. You don't even give me a number of how far it is to the gas line. And the other thing is too, is my father, when we surveyed it, I own the gas line. I own the other side of the gas line. So it's not to my side of the gas line. I own to the gas line and then to the other side.
So Jeremy, through the chair.
Yes.
The 200 feet that's shown here is the current zoning depth that they do.
Yes.
It's nothing new. This is not new. This was nothing added. What they're showing what's added is actually.
Zoning doesn't go to a beach.
So the zoning, again, the maps that
But they
are
have
currently
scale.
on our books,
They have scale.
they have a certain footage so far back, and they set it at 200 or 500.
To define them, yeah.
To define a line. This has
I
been,
respectfully disagree because you show 1,500 from top to bottom. But on side left to right, you only show 200 to the edge of a pond.
Okay, if Bill could respond.
Yeah, the 1,500, Jeremy, is currently today on our zoning map, as is the 200. It's strictly to define where the current industrial zone limit is. So it's 1,500 feet off that northeast boundary. So it's 1,500 feet south of that northeast boundary. It's not associated with the proposed zoning change. It's not dimensioning the proposed zoning change. It's currently what's on our existing zoning map. The only change, the only addition to this map is what you see in red hatching, much like that last map.
I just want this board to know, when you come around that corner at Young's and Monroe, you're gonna see my farm, and right behind it now is gonna be a big old steel building.
So is it fair, if I may ask the speaker, that your property is probably 900 feet deep or something like that?
These are my neighbors. I can see their lights in their house from the road. I mean, you're gonna see. What was your question, sir? Is it fair to say?
No,
900 feet
To the speaker, I thought you were saying.
Well,
To Jeremy?
it was brought that, the curiosity of the pond, you brought up the pond, and there's 200 feet from the street, rough and tough to the pond, and it's probably, if scaled off, we're probably talking another 700 feet from the pond to probably that pipeline or so?
Probably not quite 700. It's a fire pond. It's there to assist the fire department if the farm goes up in flames. That's why it was built, and that's what they do with those things. If you notice, every barn has a pond behind it.
Yeah, we better get on the stick.
One more quick comment, Carol?
I think Jeremy doesn't realize what you're referring to. I think this gentleman is asking him, how far is it basically from Monroe Street to the back end of his property back over here? And I think that probably is about 900 feet. I think you think he's referring this little pond, but no, he's referring from the Monroe Street to the back line of your property here is probably about 900 feet. That's what he asked.
It's like a sixth of a mile or
The other question,
something.
Carol, is that I own the gas line.
Okay. They have a right of way through your property, right?
Correct.
Right.
That what you're seeing right there is not accurate.
Well, it may not be, the line may not be accurate, but the zoning line probably is.
Well, I'm sure we're going to vote on meets and bounds at town meeting.
Well,
It'll be on the parcel IDs.
Right now, this is all zoned industrial already. 3/4, or at least more than half of it.
I'm aware of that. I rezoned the whole farm to agricultural and village residential.
Right, but this part behind here is all zoned. In fact, there's a couple of houses there that I do recall that, you came before the town where there's industrial zone, and I remember that, that we felt that your mother wanted her children near her, and that was very nice.
Absolutely.
And the people in this town, I think with good-hearted, said yes, that they would vote to allow that, to have your home. So basically, the town at
My
that
home
point.
is on commercial.
The town at that point gave up a good piece of industrial property to allow you to have a home there.
Incorrect.
Okay, all right, we're gonna wrap this up. Carol, I'm sorry to interrupt
It
you.
was commercial and industrial.
Okay.
Jeremy, thank you for your comments. Mike, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion, no.
Oh.
You good?
Yeah, quick.
Hey, Barbara Van Reed, 36 Monroe Street, and far be it for me to ever disabuse you of a notion for an industrial use in a rural or agricultural space. But I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
We abut, well, we're on the gas line. We abut 16527.
Yep.
And I'd like to understand exactly what's going to happen right there.
It's just being
What the
proposed.
plan is for that particular piece.
Can
So I'd like more details on this
let me-
205-acre industrial park, I guess.
I'll address that to Bill.
Yeah,
Well, that comes out.
I don't think there's any current active proposal that's been submitted to the town
Different things.
for permitting for any of these parcels. I know there has been discussion, and as discussion goes, I think, there's been a lot of back and forth with concepts, and I don't think anything could be held to at this point, and I think it would really be premature to think that, we're going to go in a particular direction. The rezoning really is an effort by the EDC to draw industry into the town and help out the tax base, and that's really what this is about. So currently, all we have before the board is the proposal for a zoning change for town meeting to hopefully draw in some businesses.
To make it attractive.
Correct.
I heard something else, though. You said there was a proposal for 200, well, you wanted 205 acres of industrial park before we have.
That's
but
this
something-
entire,
Something is prompting this. I'm wondering what specifically is prompting this.
we don't have an industrial park. At the May meeting, when Prop 2.5 went through, everybody asked the question, where is industry in this town?
Right.
The EDC has been proactive in the last 8 months trying to develop an industrial park, and now everybody's gonna fight it.
I'm all for that, but.
All right,
But
so,
there's already a huge industrial section here, and nothing's happened with that, so why ask for more when what we already have hasn't been developed?
Because if I can, a lot of times these companies come in, and I know exactly what you're saying, but it isn't big enough sometimes. So by having it all rezoned and say something comes up on the table, it's available for that usage. They don't go someplace else.
Do you happen to have the total square footage or acreage that you're proposing the zoning change on?
the entire area is 205 acres.
No, the
This
new area.
rezone is,
I'd be guessing, I don't have that number, no.
Fair enough. Okay.
I couldn't even guess that 25%, 40 acres. The majority of what you see in gray is wetlands. You just can't build on it.
Jerry, one more quick question I'll take and then we're,
So this board is willing to sacrifice a historic farmhouse and barn and the scenery around it for industrial industry? Is that what you guys are gonna approve?
Proposing for town meeting.
I know town meeting has it, but once
Yeah,
again,
town meeting has it.
town meeting's gonna vote on what you recommend.
Right, and then it's up to the townspeople to decide if that's what they want. All that we can do is recommend to go to town meeting, and then it's up to the residents of this community to decide whether they want it or they don't.
But they usually go off of what the planning board voted, if they approved it or not. I would say you guys are gonna make an approval of some sort.
That's why it's the planning board. I mean, we take a look at it and we try to make a good assessment to give forth to the people of this town.
Exactly.
Okay?
Thank you.
So it's up to this
Barbara,
town.
did you have a follow-up?
Yes. I do.
Okay, yeah.
This is a question, like I said, I'm all for industry in this town, believe me. So I have a personal request, or question, I guess, sort of. If this industrial park comes to be, will you be in a position to mandate like maybe 100-foot buffer zone or something?
Yeah,
on the other
it
side
has
of
to.
the
Yeah,
pipeline?
it has to come
So
before.
we don't have to look at it?
Right.
Yes?
Yeah, and it has to come through this planning
So
board.
you-
Yeah.
you give
Right.
us a
Fencing,
buffer there?
screening,
There's no need bright lights.
all of that, lighting.
Hey, I think you should put a big giant solar farm there.
So what do you know? Solar and marijuana, that's where we go.
All right, Mike.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain them.
Try to minimize that.
Yeah.
And we'll go through the regular procedures.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Big lights.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made,
Second.
seconded by Mike Z. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining. I have like 3 different iterations of this plan in front of me, and I'm all confused.
Yeah, I know.
I know, it's like, I don't have what she has and, you know, whatever, but it's
Stole
okay.
one of my papers.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, do you want this covenant
Mike,
back over here?
what's your
See,
pleasure?
Which one are we at, 7:30?
You want this?
Yeah.
The covenant?
Actually, I have 2 of the same. That doesn't help.
There's a 1A and a 1B.
I'm gonna make a motion to move forward favorably
Favorably
to town
recommend.
meeting, the proposed zoning bylaw change from RA to industrial with,
And further,
and
If-
further
if
the
favor-
removal of 15, 166-15.
As shown, 16615 is all of this. 16615 is 115 acres. It's just
So
that portion
they
of,
didn't do it yet. The
Oh, okay.
portion labeled as Hall Road.
So I was
Is
gonna-
gonna
so
be
hold on.
included.
Let me just be clear about this.
So we get this
You
right.
have one current proposal before you. You don't have multiple. So you're voting on the current proposal. You can certainly make some commentary on a revised change, including, as presented, a portion of parcel 16615, which is also known as Hall Road.
Hall Road, okay. So we're gonna take with figure 1 is the one we're gonna, is the original,
And there'll be an updated.
and then there'll be an update.
Right, as
Presented at
proposed,
town meeting.
as presented by the EDC.
Correct.
Right, I mean, that's, right.
So that's pretty much gonna wrap it up just that way. It's gonna be.
Are you clear on that?
Yes, because we're starting with the figure 1, and then there's 1A and 1B, but figure 1 is the proposed one, and it'll be amended further at town meeting.
amendments 1A and 1B.
1B,
Correct, Bill?
Yes.
that's it.
So you have one article before you. I would say just vote on that, make a recommendation to that, and then the EDC can make a modification
For
on it.
figure 1, recommendation is for figure 1.
Yeah.
Favorable recommendation?
Okay, yeah, that's what I
Okay.
said, favorable.
Okay. Motion's been made.
Second.
Second by Ken. All's in favor?
All right,
Aye.
I still
Aye.
abstain. Jesus.
I'm sorry the maps are not clear for you, Aaron.
When I have 4 different maps in front of me, I'm not good
Okay.
with that.
That's
All right,
okay.
You know,
I understand.
Yep.
Next, we have a 755 A&R plan, Shore Road.
Thank you. Shore Road? Oh,
okay.
that is. Can you stay up here?
What are we doing?
Is there a locust map?
ANRPlan for Shore Road. This is virtually identical to what the board has seen when Mr. Joliker came in with this same A&R a number of months ago. I don't know if you recall that. This is the last lot on Shore Road just prior to Rhode Island. I think the only comments I had were a typo in one of the notes. And
Is this a dead end?
I do have a general, No, it continues on into Rhode
That's
Island.
Rhode Island. Rhode Island.
So right here.
Rhode Island, no.
But the
There's a
road
whole
continues through.
subdivision, yeah, there's a
Well,
whole subdivision.
why doesn't this dotted
Because he only
in?
shows Massachusetts. Here's a better.
I like Rhode Island. They're okay. Yeah, that's, all right.
There you go.
Thank you. So you're saying this continues through? Why doesn't this say Rhode Island?
So,
Oh, there it is. Yep.
again, this submittal is just, the only change is really a name change in the correction on a typographic error. All the other comments have been addressed. The only comment that I had both on the previous submittal, which was endorsed by the board, and this one is Lot 2 has a slope in excess of 10% across its entire frontage. And the applicant suggests that grading will occur to gain access. So just please review that. Any questions?
The three of them. 200, 05,
Yeah.
05, 04.
Is it just the way it's drawn, or what? It looks like, is there a sliver of property between Shore Road and the boundary line of the property?
No.
No, okay.
The proposed lots go all the way to the edge of Shore Road,
Okay.
if that answers your question.
Yes, yes, it does.
Did we approve this earlier, Bill?
This was submitted previously under Joliker.
Okay.
That the only change to this plan is the name of the owner applicant.
All right.
And the correction of a typo.
Okay.
So what happened?
I'm good with the plan. Like I said, the only comment I have, as was the same as last time, is Lot 2 is the slope.
Yep. I'll make a motion to
It was proposed before?
This was endorsed before by the board. See, what happened, it was a buyer. The buyer didn't record the plan that was endorsed.
Oh, okay.
So the owner is now moving forward with the same plan.
Makes sense.
I'll make a motion to endorse the A&R plan for Amy Nadeau and Kristine Murello.
Second.
Number 2019-04.
Motion been made and seconded.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
So is there,
Les, did you vote on that last
want to
zoning?
sign the papers while we're at it?
No, I said so. Sorry.
Bill, I'm going to start signing these. The papers are right in front of us. Yeah.
Oh, it was so late.
You just get the
Oh,
Mylar.
there's no Uxbridge here.
Get the,
Yeah.
Right here, right? Trace.
What?
you take that with you, you record it at
that's
the
fine.
registry of deeds.
All right, Bill, moving along. Next, proposed
Please.
road acceptance.
Yeah, I think Dan's here tonight.
I see him.
So if you want to talk about that.
You want to come on up to
Pass right over.
Summerlyn Estates?
So the issue is, thank
Do you
you,
want to pass that down?
just wait for your Mylar.
Not until I sign it.
We actually learned that Wildflower Drive won't be going to town meeting, and I just wanted to let the board, give the board an update, have Dan in. My biggest concern is that it's been about 3 or 4 years, there's been no activity on site. The site's virtually built out, and I'm anxious to get the road accepted as a public way. Finish the work, it needs top coat of paving, some minor dressing up. I think there's one of the granite headers needs some work. And perhaps some loaming and seeding or brush clearing, catch basin cleaning, minor stuff, relatively minor stuff. But I want to make sure that we continue to move forward and we see some progress on the project, only because it's been a long time with no activity.
So what's the timeline?
I'm working with Chauvin Excavating to get this going. But actually, Bill actually spoke that there is one lot left there.
Okay.
It's not built out.
Is that Hammerhead lot or something like that?
No, it's actually a street, a lot at the end of the cul-de-sac on the right, which is clearly the most undesirable lot in the subdivision, that's why it's still there. And I've been trying to make sales, and I'm gonna guess that it probably needs 1,500 minimum yards of material. So I've been hesitant because I know those trucks going down there are gonna do some damage to it. But I've been unsuccessful in making a sale there, so I don't have a timeline to make a sale. I hope to do it much sooner, but it didn't happen. So I'm working with, I have the attorney in place to do the road acceptance work. I have the engineer in place. Both have been in touch with Bill, make sure they're aware of what needs to be done. But unfortunately, it's all not gonna come together before the town meeting. And and honestly, it's a small subdivision, only 5 lots, and quite honestly, all the profit for the whole subdivision's in that last lot. So I'm anxious to make that sale as well, but I've been unsuccessful. The lot needs a lot of work, but it's still a buildable lot, and so it's been a long time. No argument with that. Sure.
So this will be on for next spring town meeting.
Yeah.
Right, but this year is really, personally, again, it's been 4 years. We annually go out and ask for a new schedule to be submitted, and Dan's been diligent about providing that. It's really making progress, because the surety is the same value it was as established in 2005 or 2006, and certainly the prices have escalated since then, so I'm sure the surety is probably not going to cover the amount of work that's remaining at this point. So my goal is to get progress going out
So
there.
do we end up recalculating that if a project carries on?
We do not.
Okay.
We generally carry a 10% contingency per our regulations, and that's generally for, unforeseen circumstances that might be encountered. What I would suggest is we get a schedule. We try to stick to the schedule. My goal is to get it accepted as a public way.
When?
As soon as possible. I mean, it was this past town meeting.
Yeah, but you're not really going to do anything with all those trucks that have to bring in the fill until that lot is filled.
That makes the most sense to me.
So when are you gonna start bringing in fill?
I've been trying to make a sale there in order to do it, because it's a significant site work, and
I mean, trucks go up and down every road every day, so I mean, the road could be made to handle the weight of the trucks. I mean, a truck goes down your street every day like it does mine, so.
But if you get
we can get it rocking and rolling
in July, it's
It
going
happens
to
every
tear
day.
up the new
I
asphalt.
mean, it happens every day. They do it right on Oak Street even. So, I mean, there's no big deal in putting on good asphalt and making it right. It'll take the weight of the trucks. I mean, right?
So what's the condition of the roadway, and do we have any complaints from the other people, from the other 4 houses?
We have not gotten any complaints.
Okay.
Again, it's been binder course for, I don't know, Dan, it's been what, 4 years?
Quite a while.
Yeah,
And I
at
don't know
least.
the exact time. It's been a long time.
Well, actually longer, because
Yeah.
2006, I think, is when you got the building permits.
I think I'm not sure.
And at that point, the road would have been down.
Yeah.
So 2006.
So if the binder hasn't moved, the road on top of it isn't gonna move.
Right? And I have maintained that faithfully every storm. Matter of fact, most of the time, we get there before the town gets to Cross Street. It's off of Cross.
Oh, yeah. So you're plowing it anyways.
Yeah, there has been no complaints, because I've done
Okay.
everything I can to.
I mean, I think we need a more definitive timeline, because I think we were talking about this for 2 years.
Yep.
Or more, 3 years. So we need a timeline, whether or not that lot gets filled before the road, yeah. I think we need some progress there.
Okay. I am meeting with Chauvin the end of next week, and I'm going to try to be more forceful to get this underway.
Okay.
And I can either in writing or come back to the board at some point.
I think if you
in the
just
near future.
update Bill
Okay.
when this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, because we're definitely gonna miss this annual meeting, so.
Right.
So it's, ideally try to line it up for, work towards that and timeline of trying to probably make sure it's good to go for next spring. And whatever the buffer needs to be, because they're not gonna be asphalt in it in January, so it's that
No, it has to be
challenge.
done in 2019 to
19,
get accepted in
correct.
2020.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
challenge.
well aware of
So I
that.
think if Bill
Yeah.
receives something where you're actually have dates to finish the
I'd be
work.
thrilled if I'm getting called to go inspect things and, you
Like,
know.
yeah, I think we need some sort of forward
Yeah, it's-
progress.
Challenge is find the right buyer for the right lot. That's the other thing too. So-
I mean, how much is really left? What do you have, the road?
The top coat,
Berm, grass strip.
That's it?
minor stuff.
All minor stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, you obviously, I mean, you're on the boards, I mean, you've been around enough, you know the concerns. 'Cause,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I mean, the cost, and like Bill said, cost of asphalt back in 2004,
Yeah.
I wish it was that price now,
The
you
num-
know?
The numbers that
So,
preliminary numbers I'm getting are all well below. I put a cash bond up, not an insurance
Yeah.
bond. And the numbers are well below that.
Okay.
They were based on having to pay prevailing wage. I'm
Yeah.
not
yeah,
hiring somebody, so
You're
I'm
okay
comfortable there's a
there.
very
Yeah.
good buffer there, but
Yeah.
but I understand the concern.
yeah, I mean, it's just,
Yeah, we want to give you your money back.
Yeah, well, that.
We do. I don't want to do it.
I think you want your money
We
back.
don't want to do it, yeah. So let's come up with a game plan and get to Bill and have him go out for inspections, you know, before summertime.
All right, I will.
Is that reasonable to target
I believe so. I'm going to
before?
meet with Chauvin. I'm going to be away next week. As soon as I get back, he and I are going to get together and come up with a
Okay.
timeline.
And of course, reductions after the work is done, bond reductions can be had.
Yes,
and-
right.
Yeah.
And that's-
Let's do the work.
Anxious for that as well.
Yeah,
Well, that was, yeah. Because the money's not growing in, it's said in there.
a little
So,
bit, tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
Teeny bit. Okay, thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
well, appreciate it, thanks.
Which item was
Good
that,
night.
Bill?
Yep.
Which item?
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
number 4. Thank you.
Whitin Reservoir Estates revised covenant.
Whitin. Oh, Whitin? It's Whitin?
Don't correct me.
Wait, in the to be signed folder. Last time we met, you had voted and signed a lot release for lots 1 and 2. And it was pending an agreement between Fenari and Bob Pace that he be allowed to move forward with 2 building permits prior to posting surety. The board was okay in concept, pending town council review. Town council had some edits to the document, so we shredded the old one. But this is the new one. The only blank in there, I think, is the date. And I think we were talking October 1st for a date that surety must be posted by, or sooner, if they're seeking occupancy sooner than that.
Yeah, it's not
But the
blank.
occupancies are going to be held until the surety is posted, and that's the structure. Jay couldn't recommend it, but he deferred to the board on proceeding in that manner. So
So we just need to sign it?
I would suggest you vote again.
So the October 1, 2019 is on the paper. The April date is not. Yeah, this one that we're to be signed. April 1, 2019. No later than.
No, up here, no later than October 1st, 2019.
Yeah, I thought you said the date wasn't filled in.
I thought it wasn't the version I was reading today, I didn't have it.
That's why I'm just letting you know. We haven't.
So we're gonna be good on that.
Yeah.
So we'll make a motion then to, let's see, where am I? To accept the revised covenant for Whitin Reservoir.
To approve
Hold
the
on one
revised
second, Mike.
covenant.
Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Name and address, please.
My name is Roy Swenson, 565 Northwest Main Street. I have a question as to why the board would even entertain this,
Specifically what?
entertain this change. Because as I understand, the town has in place the covenant.
We released it, didn't we? The last thing we signed.
The last, no, this is the release.
But the last paperwork we signed, which was recorded, that the attorney took with her, was what?
That was an agreement that clarified the decision.
There was two things.
Yeah.
One was.
Well, let's have Lori speak to
Okay.
that.
One was for the lot releases, the other was to allow them to put in the 2 lots before they had the,
Approval from DHCD.
Yeah.
Because you held on to the covenant.
So this has already been done.
yeah, this is just a revision based
Revision.
on town council's recommendations. He just had a couple of changes.
No.
No. The document that was recorded at the Registry of Deeds was clarification, for lack of a better term, on lot releases prior to DHCD approval. The decision said, hey, because one of the houses, this is a flexible development, because one of the houses is an affordable unit, it has to go to the state and get their blessing that, in fact, it meets the requirements for an affordable unit for us to take credit for. So the decision said they can't pull a building permit until DHCD approves it. This subsequent recording said they can get 2 lots released, even though they haven't gotten that approval from DHCD. So that's what's been recorded. Last meeting, the board signed this pending town council review. Town council reviewed it, made some edits.
What were the edits specifically?
I'd have to go,
I'm just trying to clarify because there's a question here, so.
do you know off the top of your head, Lori?
I need to know
It
if it was
was just a few
dates
wordings.
or if it was.
It was lawyer lingo.
Yeah. I don't have my phone on me.
You know, you give them anything, they'll change anything. Oh, you have it? Okay.
Except for the date, I just wrote in.
So here, the additions are underlined and the deletions are stricken.
Okay, so there's hereby partially and conditionally release instead of just hereby release, lots 1 and 2. This is releases for building permits only was added. And then about the deposit with the financial surety. The deposit of such security shall be governed by a subsequent agreement in a form approved by the planning board.
So what's the concern?
So what was your concern? Why would the board do this? Because why?
Because you already have a covenant in place, as I understand it. So why would you change it? And by the difference in dates, you're giving 2 building permits ahead of you having in hand the money for the covenant. So,
But they don't have
the
occupancy.
history on this little development, this has been going on for 17 years.
And I think now they have an opportunity to make the
There were
money.
opportunities in the past.
So how are they going to close on the properties without occupancy permits? So this is all hinging to get an occupancy
They can't
before
have
the
occupancy.
deposit, before the
I
surety.
understand that, and that same reasoning goes back to Mr. Dooley, the first developer, who went belly up. And then Fulnari purchased property several years later, and have done a good job bringing it up to spec, et cetera. I'm not here complaining again about that. But then they changed the basic plan, and it went from 7 houses to whatever it is, 13, 15.
It's affordable.
And now it wants to change hands again. It has stopped, whatever, 3 times. So if you want a covenant, why wouldn't the covenant happen the same day as or the same time, or however the lawyers do it, as pass the building permit? So there's no chance of
God forbid, there could be a disagreement somewhere with Funari and Pace.
But there's also only two
We have a
lots.
closing date in 2 weeks, and this is what's hinging on that. We close,
But
he
why
gets his
would you do
permits
it?
and they
You
build.
got one in hand
So,
already.
so,
I have none. I don't have any for
None.
building permits.
what about the option
The
to,
town has a covenant, is what I'm saying.
to submit the money before you get your building permits?
Can't do it, we've already tried. You run the risk of, Bob Pace puts up 135,000. What if things fall apart and the town now has his money, they can't release it? So we've been down that path. I've
Bill, is
looked
there
at,
an option on that? Another method to withhold building permit before some
Well,
sort
I
of
think the thing
surety?
Roy's concerned about, because I did have a conversation with him today, is the fact that if there's an agreement between Funari and Pace that doesn't come to follow through and come to fruition, you could in fact have two houses that have been started and not completed.
then no, I'm not gonna let them build it until.
Well, how
we
could that
actually close.
possibly happen? Because she won't close and she's not building them.
Right.
So how could the, what is the person?
Bob Pace.
Landmark, no. Yeah.
It's some letters,
Yeah.
Okay.
4 letters. An RQB
So we
or
want the project to start, obviously, since it hasn't started for 17 years. So we need to figure something
Kickstart
out if this is not,
It started multiple times.
right,
And no
right.
houses.
So I guess we need to come up with a solution to get this project going. They've got a viable buyer and we don't want to prevent that from getting sold.
Right, and again, just strictly, statute requires that surety be in place for subdivisions, okay? And that surety has one of 4 ways of being in place. No build covenant, which is what currently exists, or cash, performance bond, or tripartite agreement. So there is a window here where you're releasing 2 lots from the no build covenant without any of these 3 other substitute
You
performance
have,
guarantees.
the rest of the lots are under no build.
That is correct, but that's not one of the 4 defined by statute.
Okay. So she doesn't have the surety right now?
Correct.
On all of them?
Correct, and that's why the board, this is being put to the board. Roy saw it on the agenda, stopped in, we discussed it. I tried letting him know what was going on, so.
There's just no way to do it, or else we would. We've looked at every avenue we possibly could. And we know that other towns will do the same thing. They'll release a couple of lots, but understood that you cannot have an occupancy permit, meaning you can't sell that house until you've put up surety. So Bob could put the house up, but he can't sell it, so obviously he's gonna put up surety. Because you're not gonna put
So-
in $300,000 to build a house.
If other towns are
and not
doing it,
sell
how are they doing it?
Just like that, they'll do a building permit release, but they won't give an occupancy permit until surety's put up. So this way it allows me to sell it, Bob to buy it, because we can't put up surety no matter which way we look at it. If I put it up, I lose the 135.
Why do you lose it?
Because it's in my name and they can't transfer it. Same thing with surety. If I get a bond, bonding companies cannot transfer from me to another
Can you be a
person.
dual signature on that?
What's that?
Dual signature.
No,
On the
they will
bond.
not allow it. No, I already asked
We just did that
Yeah.
on a gravel pit.
Yeah.
from a buyer to a seller.
2 different parties, both parties had to sign.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna be an owner. I'm selling it and I'll be out of it, so I can't sign it and Bob sign it because
Yeah,
I'm
but they weren't
still
the
on it.
owner. They weren't the owner, they were the operator. So they weren't the owner.
Yeah, either way, I talked to my bonding company and said they won't transfer it, so it means that the bond would be in my name, but I wouldn't own it. I'm not the developer.
Is there a check and balance that there's no way an occupancy could be released by mistake? On
No,
this?
no.
So
I mean-
accidentally, occupancy could get released?
It could.
Yeah.
So there's real no check on that? Yeah,
We do the best we can, but
right.
Your closing's
But
in 2
it's
weeks, so
not-
it's after our next meeting?
It's not etched in
I
stone.
told him that, so the idea is this, so once we have this meeting, if you were to sign this, they are supposed to be coming down tomorrow to get building permits. I'm assuming they can do that?
Yeah.
So the idea is, once he knows he can get a building permit, that's it. I'm giving him 2 weeks, we close.
2 weeks to get the building permit. He's not gonna get building permit, walk in, walk out.
So that
Yeah,
October
but as long
1st
as
date
he can
can
go
change.
down and get, start the process, this is
Yeah.
what we've been working towards for a year, is just to get to the point where we can actually take out a permit.
He had a question too.
Yes. Question?
Another possible issue, this goes back several years, but the town suffered through another subdivision with a party from out of state. I think it was Shady Knoll. And when it came to collect the surety or covenant, we couldn't because it was out of state.
well, that surety company, in that case,
Went
Went
bankrupt.
bankrupt.
that went bankrupt and it was out of New
So I
York.
guess
But
suggest-
the builder was not out of New York.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could review a surety, and again, it'd be something that they would have to propose that gets reviewed by town council and,
So
Just like to
my,
bring it to the board's attention.
thank you. So my opinion is that you should probably have your new developer pull the bond, you sign it, and then that'll take care of it, and then he can post it.
He can't get a bond
Why not?
because he's not the owner.
Developers do it. I mean, we had an example. Or you locate a way that statutorily we can do this.
Problem is,
The other
so
towns,
Bob
whatever the
takes
other
out a
towns
bond,
do.
right?
Yep.
Let's say he takes out a bond.
Mm-hmm.
And the deal falls apart. He now has a bond with the town, but he doesn't own the property. It's the same problem either way, that it doesn't
The deal
work.
falls
And
apart in
he's
two-
willing
within
to
the 2
put
weeks?
Money
Is that what
up,
you say?
but if something does happen, now he's out the money.
Can't you legally draft up paperwork for him to not be out the money?
No, because the town won't release it back to him. We already had discussed that with town council.
Do you anticipate that there's a chance in the next 2 weeks the thing doesn't go forward? I mean, there's a chance of anything.
All kinds of
Sox
things
could win
can
again.
happen. They had a tragedy in his family 2 weeks ago, just like that.
So
You don't know.
I want to defer to Bill on this surety thing. We need to figure out how to get the surety, and then this would be based on building permit, right?
What's currently drafted is based on allowing 2 building permits, so releasing those lots 1 and 2 from the no-build covenant, which would allow them to pull building permits. The exposure that the town realizes is if the project doesn't continue, if their agreement fails, and,
Right.
then we have 2 releases with no surety that the road's going to be finished. Granted, it says no occupancies in there, but that becomes a monitoring and administrative. As Lori just indicated, anything could happen.
Right.
And
I didn't know if there was a definite, like a check right there where there's no way.
Well, typically there is, but
Right.
it
You know,
could
it's
not a
happen.
guaranteed
Yeah.
thing.
if I win the lottery, I won't be there monitoring it, and, we can have someone else.
I mean, you've already signed it twice. I don't understand why it's a problem now.
There's someone from the town that thinks that there's an issue with it, and we need to address
Change the
it.
name, instead of it being Bob's company, can it be me that starts the process of the building permits? Would that be?
We need a bond. We need one of the 4 types of surety in place. I don't see if we've already had an experience, maybe you go with that same bonding company where there's 2 people signing it. One is the operator, one is the owner. That is available as a mechanism because it was accepted as a mechanism for that. So I think you can accomplish it.
So you're saying one was the owner, and one was who?
Operator.
And they were gonna continue in that form? But that's the problem, it's not gonna stay in that form.
But don't you transfer sureties to different types of sureties, we vote on it.
I'm sure.
In the
if
past,
for example.
substituting the
Well, that's what I was
surety.
just going to say. There's nothing prohibiting, starting with one type of surety and then changing over to a different surety at a later date. There's nothing that prohibits that.
And/or even, isn't name change allowed on the surety? Because sometimes there's a sale. So the person that sold gets his surety back, and the other person has their own surety to move forward.
I think they're
That would be an
bonded.
administrative thing that we would require
Right.
on the transfer.
Right.
Yeah. Because the surety that's in the account, we could not release to the new owner.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it needs to all be changed over, yeah.
Right.
So it does happen.
Yes.
But another surety can be bought in place
Like
of.
cash.
And then that surety
And then we
returned to
return the
you,
other.
returned to yourself. So that surety could be returned to you
So let's
with another
just
surety in
say,
place.
you can grab a bond tomorrow. We could vote on this depending on just changing it to building permit, the issuance of any building permit for the lots. The surety has to be in place.
So we're back to square one, basically. Because now I can't close in 2 weeks.
Why?
Again. Because now we have to figure this out all over again.
I don't
We've
think
been trying
it's-
for months to get this figured out.
But it's a mechanism, isn't it? Just you already have a deal in
You
place.
So
Telling you
she's,
it doesn't
we're
work.
holding a surety for this project, right? Or we're just holding
We have a
the no build
We have
as
a
the
no
surety?
build covenant, which is acting as surety. Yes.
Okay.
It's,
And town council said it's up to us.
He deferred to the board. He didn't recommend it, he deferred to the board.
Okay, one more comment or question.
My point, as made by Ms. Fulnari, she can't guarantee the board anything that's gonna happen in 2 weeks. There's a 4-month window on that agreement when you sign, if you sign the covenant and when surety appears. So.
yeah. Anything can happen.
Doesn't add up to me. I don't know about the board, but it doesn't add up to me.
It's a good point.
In the town's favor, that's where I'm looking, in the town's favor. Not being a nice person, not being a bad person, but looking out for the town of Douglas, it doesn't add up. I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No, appreciate the information.
Could I have that piece of
Yes.
paper back for me?
There you go. Thank you. What's your flavor?
I've already said my opinion that I think that it is a possibility that you can get the bonding for the 135 in both people's names. And I
Because
would,
then I'm on it, even though I don't own it.
no, you're not, because then we would substitute his cash for your bond
Yeah.
once you guys close.
Right.
And you'd get your building permits. He can be the applicant, you're the owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Business is tough, It's like a.
I think that Bill's bringing up what we require, and maybe we overlooked it, but Bill is bringing up what we require in order to do this. So either do the bonding with both your names on it, and then once he closes, he substitutes, gives us the cash, and you still have the 2 permits, building permits, and he can get rolling, or some other mechanism that you said that other towns use, maybe.
This is what they use. I mean, would it make a difference if the date was changed from October to May? I mean, that doesn't even give us a chance to barely break ground.
Yeah,
So
you have 30 days
what's
for a
the
building
risk?
permit.
But isn't your mechanism a building permit? Isn't that your agreement? You said, we just need to get the permits, not break ground.
No, right. He just needs to be able to get the building permits. that's
Right,
all.
so the time is not an essence thing here. It's getting the permits and within the 2 weeks, because you have a closing date. And he's not amenable, well, who knows what is amenable to extending your closing date another week, so we could, we have a meeting in 2 weeks?
We've been working on this for a year, and it's taken a long time.
But it's the thing you have in
Not
common.
2 weeks.
He wants to buy it, you want to sell it.
Right.
So,
Right. I want to close in 2 weeks.
Well.
And he needs to get started. I mean, it's April.
unless you're going to Australia for a year in 2 weeks.
Can I ask a silly question?
Sure.
Why does he need building permits to close on the sale?
Right,
Because he wants a guarantee that he can start to build.
which is silly.
We've already indicated that once surety is posted, you can start pulling 2 building permits.
I know. I don't disagree with that.
So that's really not our thing.
I mean, if you don't mind me saying, it's
Yeah.
kind of scary where somebody's walking into development of this size and they're afraid to put up their surety. Why? There's something, don't jive.
Well,
I'm sorry, just don't.
He can't.
Well, then how's he gonna move
doesn't own
forward?
it. He can't put up surety because it is.
So then how's he gonna do it once he gets the bill in line, you bail out?
Because once he owns it, he can put up surety.
Is that a true story?
I don't know if that's true, but again, I go back, I don't understand the logic of tying the building permits, obtaining the building permits prior to closing. That I
It
don't
doesn't
understand.
jive.
That's what a lot of people do for closings.
Conditional.
Yeah, that's what people do.
Yeah.
So,
But
I think we've just got to get the surety in place.
we're here in 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, do you want to revise this? Is it a simple revision to get this signed, and if you bring the surety in
If the surety comes in, town council is okay with it, I'm sure you'd be willing to come in and sign the document for the lot releases.
Yeah, I don't want you to have to wait if you
Right,
can,
right,
if you have a
beforehand.
bonding company
We'll come in, yeah.
that I know exists that can have the 2 people on there, the 2 entities. I mean,
I can't do that. I don't know how to explain it to you. I'm not going to be the owner. It's one thing if I stayed the owner and Bob was a developer, but I'm not going to be the owner. In 2 weeks, I sell
How do
it.
you
So a
know?
bonding company, they will not give me a bond because if we close in 2 weeks, I no longer own that, but the town of Douglas will hold that bond.
we're trying to enable you to do that, but you may have it for a couple more months. We're trying to get you to transfer it.
We've already tried this, it won't work.
But didn't you, if I may ask, didn't you say that if you carry the surety now, in order for the lots to be released, in order the mechanism to close, then Bob, Mr. Bob, gets surety, and then your surety is released to you back because it's in your name, and he has a surety to replace that.
When the transfer happens.
When the transfer
correct.
happens, why is that?
Because I've been told that they will not release the bond once they have it.
Who told you that? Who told you that?
I've been told that by my bonding company, and I think by Douglas, that they won't.
But we
replace it.
can release it
We-
back to you.
We substitute it with the 135,000.
As long as new surety is
Yeah,
in place.
That's all I'm saying.
With the
Once
cash
Bob
bond.
owns it,
Right.
and he gets a surety, you hold on to the surety,
We won't release it if that other surety is not
Right.
posted.
So that should be part of your language of your sale, that he immediately has surety in place.
Right.
As soon as he closes on it, gets surety.
I'd have to find out, I just don't know if my bonding company would do it.
But there's
I talked
other-
to them about doing this, and they said no.
Isn't there more than one bonding company in the state?
They are my bonding
No, but
company.
there are other bonding companies, are there not?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, I mean, we know
I don't
that.
have a relationship with other ones.
Well,
I mean, I guess I could try, I don't
right,
know.
right, I mean,
It just doesn't
Yeah,
sound
I think
like,
that's
man, you
a
got
little
the-
bit more
you
simple.
got the money to buy all this going forward, but you don't have the money to put up the bond?
Right, I think,
Bob has the money, he's willing to put up cash, but he can't put it up until he closes.
okay,
Because
so
if
I,
anything happens, he loses.
this is good. So I think the thing to do is just get the bond.
and we'll come in and we'll
I
sign.
have asked,
Yeah.
and they told me they wouldn't do it, so I'll ask again, see what happens.
And you have other names of surety places?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Tracy separately.
But I think that would be the cleanest way.
I think I'd check it out.
I think that would be the
Bond
cleanest-
company anyway.
Absolutely.
Cleanest
Yeah.
way. And then he's got the money and we'll just release it and you'll be on your way.
And that's where, so that's having, I mean, if this guy's straight up or whatever, then he should have the funds available to, come in and match dollar for dollar, and we've done it. We swap it over, give it right back to you.
Okay.
Right, and just because your company is parochial in that regard doesn't mean that there are other companies that wouldn't work with you as well, of course.
Right. And of course, the other thing is, it's gonna cost me $4,000 for 2 weeks.
I know, fast times at Ridgemont High, unfortunately, which was just on.
Doesn't make sense, but okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So I think that we can move to vote on this release of covenant once the bonding is in place.
With the condition of the bonding being in place.
Yeah, our standard.
If the surety's in place, we
Yeah,
don't
I mean-
need those other limitations,
Right.
and occupancy could be released if we had the surety.
But it would be a more clean, it's our standard.
It'd be our standard surety, yeah.
How can we put that in a motion?
It would just be basically motion to approve the lot releases pending posting of adequate surety in a form approved by town council.
So moved.
All right, prior to building permits.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah.
gonna, it's gonna be.
Also move off those.
Second with Ken, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. So if that happens, then we can come in and sign it if we're available.
Yep.
Okay. Sign ASC Wallum Mass Solar LLC.
Okay, I added the condition, I basically worked off the boilerplate from West Street's approval. I added the conditions that were read as part of the motion for this project. In your packet, there should be an email from town council, hopefully. Not optimistic, I'm getting near the bottom. Nope. Anyways, I'll summarize town council's email. Late in the day, Evan Turner contacted me and recommended some minor tweaks to the form of the document, including primarily discussion around the demolition surety, I forget what we called it, the decommissioning bond. He wanted to insert the language that it would be commercially available or commercially estimated.
Yeah, I think having somebody come in to give a true estimation.
I thought we were getting a couple quotes for the other one.
We are. They also sought the same language, and town council said no, so I sent this to town council. Commercially reasonable is what he wanted added. Town council did not recommend the proposed edits.
So,
And I would go with town council's advice on that. So they were not a part of this that we're signing right now.
That is the version town council doesn't have an issue with.
Okay, this one right here.
Yes.
Okay.
that would. So we need to sign this one?
And sign accessory apartment special permit. We did vote on that, right?
We need a vote on that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, folks, in your packet, you have an accessory apartment
Yep,
special
I
permit.
just looked at it. It's just a renewal, right?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for renewal of an accessory apartment for John and Kristine Furno at 1 Stonehill Drive in Douglas with the occupant of Rita Hare, mother, Stonehill Drive, also same place. Period.
Okay, motion been made. Second by Ken, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I can go.
Okay, a voucher. Is it another filing cabinet?
I don't know what's on it.
Oh, it's our
Vertical
laptop.
file, yeah.
It's our laptops. iPads.
Did you have something? Sorry about that. I did announce
go.
it. Were you here at
Just a minute.
7:04? 7:04?
Yeah, he was sitting almost right there. He goes, I'm not doing nothing tonight. He
Jeez.
said, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, too many people?
He said, I wasn't prepared.
That's, I know, that's what the guy said.
Yeah.
That's why I was sitting. Which one is this?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, number one. Sorry about that. I thought you had something else new.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a different week. That's what I got the sense.
No, that was a different guy. That's not the same guy.
It's not Grow New
See
England?
you later.
No.
Have a
In 2
good
weeks.
evening.
I think you just pointed it.
Check with us first, Dennis. Okay.
Got to check mark your
Just Tracy.
motion. Okay, sleep.
What are you?
Bill, anything else?
Nope.
Board, anything else anybody wants to bring up?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.